I started reading one of the most famous books of the year. Well, the year 2022, but anyway, I'm always late to these things. This book is incredibly famous and I have refused to read it because my gut told me I wouldn't like it. The title of this thing on Amazon is The Housemaid, an absolutely addictive psychological thriller with a jaw-dropping twist. That's the product title. The outrageous promise is part of the name. It will leave you with your jaw dropped. Alright book, The Housemaid. Here is my jaw. Drop it.
Here's my jaw. Drop it.
I'm sorry for using a Big Bang Theory reference. I know cool people hate that show. The point is that this book is supposed to rock your world, change your life, erase your memory, give you a new identity, and create an existential crisis impossible to overcome. So I thought, alright, I'll read it. Well, I'll listen to it because I have it in Audible. Because this video is sponsored by... No, I'm kidding. It's not. I wish, but no. I still have a regular job like all of you. So today I'm going to predict, or at least try predict, the unexpected ending of the book, The Housemaid. Right now I'm about 20% into the book, and here's what I can say in general. The book is about a girl, Millie. A young, beautiful woman, because of course she has to be attractive. They're not going to make a plain girl the center of the story. Millie has just gotten out of prison for a crime that hasn't been revealed at all, and she's flat broke and desperate for money. That's how she stumbles upon the opportunity of a lifetime, landing a job at the Winchester residency, where a wealthy couple needs a woman to do their housework. Nina Winchester, the lady of the house, starts off friendly and hires Millie without even looking into her criminal background. This is very important because as soon as the job becomes unbearable and when any other person would have quit, it's made clear to us, the readers, that Millie has no choice. No one else will hire her due to her record. So she's forced to be the maid for these people, no matter how badly they treat her or how ridiculous they behave. But the only ones who treat our protagonist poorly are Nina Winchester and the little monster she has for a daughter, Cece Winchester. A spoiled brat that's easy to hate, because the man of the house, Andrew Winchester, is the nicest, coolest, dreamiest guy you'll ever come across. Rich, handsome, charismatic, intelligent, and extremely empathic. He seems like a man designed by a woman's imagination. And so far the book is about how Millie does the cleaning and house chores for this family, and Nina Winchester and Cece make her life miserable. They treat her like crap, lie to her, and manipulate her into thinking she's making mistakes constantly. It's something like Cinderella, where the reader empathizes with the working class and we all bond over our disdain for these wealthy women who haven't done anything to deserve all the money they have other than being well connected. From my perspective, I can say this isn't really my type of book. No hate towards those who enjoy it, but I can't say it's addictive at all. I feel it's very slow and repetitive. In one chapter, Nina Winchester tells Millie, "Millie, throw these shoes into the trash." And Millie throws the shoes in the trash, and then when Nina asks her for the shoes, Nina goes, "You told me to throw them away." And Nina treats her horrible, calls her an idiot, a liar, a good for nothing, and then Andrew Winchester comes along and says, "It's okay, Nina, Millie made a mistake." And he rescues our protagonist. And this happens over and over and over, chapter after chapter. Except sometimes Millie doesn't get rescued by Andrew. I feel the point of the book is to make us hate this rich lady, Nina Winchester, because the author knows us poor folk, will unite in our hate for these women who only think about getting manicures, going to the spa, spending money on clothes, and making literally nothing else. This is like a Mexican telenovela, where the protagonist is from a humble neighborhood like Maria, la del barrio. She's poor, humble, but beautiful and has a noble heart. Her best friend is La Virgencita del Guadalupe, and then she falls in love with a handsome guy who just happens to have a lot of money because Maria la del Barrio is not interested about the money, she cares about his personality. But this Prince Charming has a beast of a girlfriend that the audience fantasizes about killing each episode. It's the same thing. Every time Nina appears on page, you are like, this bitch, this awful creature, just freaking die, please. She's a character you love to hate. Alright, enough rambling. Now for the prediction. And of course, I assume spoilers. How will the psychological thriller end that will leave your jaw dislocated for having to drop it so much at the unexpected ending? Something I forgot to mention is that the book actually starts at the end. Oops. It's one of those beginnings that tries to be intriguing but reveals nothing. We know that in the future a crime will occur in the Winchester house, but we don't know who will commit the crime or who will even die. We just know that the police are in the house interviewing the protagonist, Millie. That's it. This makes it a bit tricky to predict what will happen because we don't have clear elements of the mystery. We can say who the killer is because we don't know who the victim is. So I will make different guesses but stick to what I think is most likely to happen. So someone is going to die in the Winchester house and someone else is going to be the killer, if it is even a murder. There are three main characters: Millie, Nina Winchester, and Andrew Winchester. Their daughter Cece Winchester doesn't seem to be relevant enough to be either the victim or the perpetrator. There's another character that appears occasionally, the Italian gardener Enzo, who's also super attractive, but I don't think he'll be the victim or the perpetrator either. We know Millie will be alive because the police will be interviewing her, so that leaves us with the charming hunk Andrew and the nasty witch Nina. So let's take a look at the title on Amazon again. An absolutely addictive psychological thriller with a jaw-dropping twist. There's going to be a super unexpected twist. Let's think, it's not that hard. There are three characters here, nothing elaborated, and a straightforward dynamic. Nina is mean to Millie, and Andrew is nice to Millie. I wonder what the twist would be. Could it be that Andrew has been a ghost this whole time? Have they been on Earth this whole time? Jinkies Scooby? I don't know. It wasn't my first thought, but then I couldn't help thinking that, of course, Andrew isn't as good as he seems. That is the big twist. Andrew is the villain and Nina is his victim. Well, I think I might be very wrong because I've been looking for clues, but there haven't been any yet. At one point in the story, Millie is cleaning the bathroom and she finds a bunch of medications for mental issues and illnesses. It's implied that Nina takes lots of these pills, and gossiping among the other ladies is that Nina is crazy and she's been in a hospital or something and so on. It made me think of The Girl on the Train. Spoilers, by the way. Where the protagonist believes she's an unstable alcoholic and that's why her husband left her, only for us to find out later that he was manipulating her and drugging her to make her think she was a drunk, causing scenes and embarrassing them in front of the neighbors, and so on. And I figured something similar was happening in this book between Nina and Andrew, but I understand why he's doing it. He has money, the house is his, he has nothing to gain from Nina, unless he's a Patrick Bateman type of psychopath, which I think might be where this thing is going. My other guess is that Millie is not being entirely honest with us, the readers. She's an unreliable narrator, like the protagonist in Gone Girl, where we're shown the protagonist as a sweet, vulnerable girl and then it's revealed she is a crazy lady willing to do anything. When you read enough thrillers, you start to pick up on the clues. Millie comes off as submissive and a bit clueless, always apologizing and being all innocent, so there could be something more going on there. But I think more that Andrew is the villain and Nina, whom we're supposed to hate, is actually the victim. The book is so insistent on how good Andrew is, so kind and patient, willing to clean the kitchen himself despite being an important businessman. So the most dramatic twist would be that Andrew is a terrible human being, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's true. At first I thought both Andrew and Nina were monsters and had hired Millie to torment her together, but looking at the dynamic more closely, I see the author intends to play with our feelings about Nina and Andrew. First we hate one and love the other one, and at the end there's the twist. Now, who's going to die and who's going to do the killing? I admit I haven't come up with a strong conclusion for that, but here's what I've thought. I said that at some point in the story, Millie, the housemaid, will uncover the truth. She'll see that Nina is the victim and Andrew is the villain. then Millie and Nina will team up to get rid of him. Or they'll try to confront him, and in defending themselves, they'll end up killing Andrew Winchester. I'm not fully sold on this prediction, but it's the best I've got so far. The ending has to be shocking, so I assume the protagonist, who we're meant to empathize with, will have to do something morally questionable that we'll have to support given the circumstances. So now it's time to keep reading or listening and see how it turns out.
3 weeks later.
So I officially finished the first part of the Housemaid. It's divided in 2 parts, as far as I know. Pinky, por acá. And what can I say about it? I have so many things to say about it. First of all, I had to admit something happened in the book that I didn't see coming. And it's that Millie, our great and wonderful protagonist, great person, ends up having an affair with her boss, with a married dude. The villain of the story, because by this point I'm completely sure Andrew Winchester is the bad guy. And they end up, tangling bodies, having the encounter of a night, loving one another in a adulterous way, wrong, sinful way, because he's married. Really? That's where the book was heading? This is literally like a Mexican soap opera by now. This is how they go. It's insane. It's insane because first, just the things were so weird, and they tried to show it like it was a coincidence that they end up having this affair. It's not a freaking coincidence. This was so well planned. Like Millie and Andrew end up going to a Broadway show by coincidence. They feel forced to go to this Broadway show, but the plan was just to go to the Broadway show and then go back home right away. But they go out to dinner and they end up having some beers and they end up getting drunk. Oh my god, I knew it then. Oh my god, these people are just gonna do it so freaking hard that night. And exactly that's what happens. They end up going to a hotel. He's looking at her legs. What a stupid scene. And I caught Andrew looking at my legs. Oh, Andrew. And he blushed and looked another way, like pretending he was looking at my wonderful long legs. Oh my god, who wrote this thing? Anyway, maybe I'm the idiot one because this thing sold millions and millions of copies. Anyway, so they end up doing it in the hotel, but supposedly that's it. They're not gonna start an affair per se. But of course, eventually, Andrew feels tired of his old and a little bit overweight wife. And he tells her, Nina, I don't love you anymore. This is how literally that conversation goes. Nina, I don't love you anymore. Leave my house. Really? That's the end of your marriage? Of years of marriage? You're just kicking her. You don't even let her stay that night. You don't even let her get... No, she literally has to go upstairs, put his stuff in some bags. Like she has like 3 things. Clearly not, because she's a pretentious rich woman. She packs everything and she leaves the house crying, destroyed, completely in shock, because she knows the dude is leaving her for the housemaid. So Nina leaves. She gets close to Millie and whispers to her ear, I will never forget this, Millie. And she's gone. And then literally the very first thing that happens after his marriage is over, Andrew Winchester gets close to Millie, the housemaid, and he flirts with her. He tells her, I was hoping to catch you alone. Really? I was hoping to catch you alone. Oh my god. This book is so stupid. And they, of course, go to the bedroom. The day his marriage is over, 5 minutes after Nina has left the house, and they do it again. This is like not only a Mexican soap opera, but like a terrible porn or something. I don't know. This is awful. And by this point, you just know Andrew Winchester is the bad guy. Like, there's this point where I forgot to mention Enzo, the gardener, the Italian super handsome gardener, because the only 2 male in these stories are 2 very attractive men. Enzo tells Millie she's in danger. He doesn't speak very well English, so he can only say one word in Italian to her when they meet, and it's pericolo, I believe. It's not piccolo daimaku, it's pericolo. Pericolo? Pericolo? Which means danger. Danger stranger. Even I assumed he was talking about Nina because he was the one being a bitch at the beginning of the book. But not that late on, I understood. No, he was talking about Andrew. Andrew is the terrible person in this book. And he was. So Enzo told Millie, you're in danger here. And she didn't do anything about it. But then, after Nina's gone and after Millie and Andrew do the dance without pants again, they run into... Well, they don't run. They see Enzo outside working in the garden. And Andrew doesn't like Enzo because maybe he knows that Enzo knows that Andrew knows he's a horrible human being. I think I'm lost in the woods. And he tells Enzo, you're fired. You have to go. Leave my house. I don't want you here anymore. And Enzo has to leave the house. He leaves the house. No, but before he leaves the house, he tells Millie, you are in danger. In a better English. Apparently he learned English just to warn Millie. Millie, you have to leave here. You're in danger. And Millie thinks he's talking about Nina, so she says, oh no, don't worry about it. Nina is gone. Nina's not here anymore. And Enzo says, no, you're mistaken. There, it is. That's confirmed. You're mistaken. That's not what I'm talking. But then he's interrupted by Andrew. Andrew comes and says, Millie, everything okay? So by this point, we know, everybody knows, Enzo is talking about Andrew. It's super confirmed. This is halfway through the book, so this is not a big surprise. This is not a twist. I hope that's not the twist. I hope there's more to it. We'll see. There's half of the book missing, and we already know Andrew's the bad guy, so... I'm actually intrigued how this book is gonna keep going. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I'm pretty sure the one who's gonna die is Andrew. And either Millie or Nina or the two of them together are gonna kill him. That's mine. But there's so much book left. Oh my god.
One eternity later.
So finally I finished the book, The Housemaid. It's over. I finished it a while ago. I took a time to process it. I think I have the same jacket, so you cannot see the time passing, but believe me, time has passed. Maybe I will look older, wiser, and I'm gonna do my final remarks, conclusions, the end of this thing. First of all, how did I do with my prediction? Was I right with everything I said? And I can, with confidence say, yes, I was right. And I'm not surprised. I don't feel good about myself because I don't think the book was a challenge. The twist was not unforeseen thing. It was not unpredictable. It was quite predictable. But that's all right. I don't think a twist has to be extremely unpredictable. I think it just needs to make sense in the narrative of the book. So I predicted that the character that we thought was nice was actually gonna be evil, and the character that we thought that was evil was actually gonna be nice. And that was it. That was the twist. Andrew Winchester was the bad guy, and Nina Winchester was the victim. I saw it coming so early on. Of course, there's no shock at all when you find out because you've been expecting that moment of the revelation. So yeah, my jaw was not dropped at all. That being said, even though I feel I guessed or I predicted, I didn't guess, it was just obvious. I predicted, I see coming 80% of the supposed fantastic twist of one of the most sold books of 2022 and still is a huge bestseller. I still think there was a few surprises from the book that I liked, that I loved, and I appreciated. So it wasn't entirely terrible. I liked some of the stuff. For example, I knew that bringing Millie, the housemaid, into the Winchester's residency, it was somebody's plan. It was a master plan by somebody. I always thought it was the bad guy's plan. So in this case, Andrew Winchester. I didn't understand why he did it, but I knew he wants this person for a reason. I was wrong. It was not Andrew Winchester's plan. It was Nina's plan. And I actually was surprised by that.
To me, Nina was crazy. I fell for it. When everybody kept saying Nina Winchester is crazy, I fell for it. And at the end, she wasn't. She was focused, determined. She was a bitch because she wanted to be one. It was important for her plan. She mistreated Millie because it was important for everything was planned. I like that. That was pretty neat. I like the fact that they hide the criminal background of Millie for an important reason. We all know that Millie went to prison for 10 years. We don't know why. I knew that it was a violent crime. I was sure she killed somebody. Maybe she killed it by accident. I didn't think it was homicide or like... I thought maybe she killed somebody driving drunk or something like that. No, she killed somebody, but it was a predator. This dude tried to rape, abuse Millie's friend, and Millie just came and just killed the shit of that dude, which, bravo. Great. Interesting fact. And I like that this detail is important because Nina wants somebody in her house that is capable of murder because she wants Millie to kill Andrew. That was her plan all along. Great. I didn't see that coming either. Really well done. I like that. Those little aspects of stuff like that. I know another thing I enjoy of this book is the fact that we can actually see how the bad guy, this villain person that we hate in the second part of the book, which is Andrew Winchester, because he's a horrible person. He tortures Nina Winchester in horrible ways. We get to see how he suffers. When we get to see the bad guy actually suffer with his own medicine, it's magnificent. Andrew Winchester has been torturing Nina for years, putting her in the attic, leaving her there to, be hungry and thirsty. The rest of the tortures, I admit, were kind of weird, kind of dull, compared to the actual domestic abuse that many women suffer in real life. But let's leave that to the side. So we get to see that Millie is not willing to go along with this crap. Nina, when she was locked in the attic, she felt responsible for her daughter, Cece, and she was like, okay, I'll go through this torture because Andrew Winchester is in control of our lives and he can take my daughter away from me. He can actually kill her. So Cece was kind of a bitch. The little girl was kind of a bitch too, but it was not her fault, let's just say. She grew up in a horrible environment. And Millie's like, no way. He put her in the attic as soon as he could, because the dude is crazy. The dude was Patrick Bateman cuckoo. He just doesn't like when women don't dress properly or they leave clothes around or they're messy, and he just locks her up in the attic for a few days and weird shit happens. Millie was like, this is not flying with me. The dude was like, if you don't do this, I'll send you back to prison. I have the power to send you back to prison. I have leverage. You have nothing. I'm in control of your life. Couldn't care less. And she locked the shit out of that dude and tortured him. Love that part. It was very, very cool. Because usually in stories, in fictions, bad guys die so quick. They don't suffer. They don't feel anything. They just drop dead. It's insane. And sometimes they died by accident. The bad guy didn't mean to kill them. They wanted to bring them to justice. No, kill them and take a finger or two. Freaking bastards, maniacs. This time, Andrew Winchester freaking suffered. Exquisite, and I enjoy the hell out of that. And well, there was the few things I like. A bunch of other things I hated of this book, and I thought they were completely stupid. Completely stupid. Like what? Enzo. That character made no sense. He was just there for moral support for Millie. Enzo's the gardener of the Winchester family, this beautiful man with body of a model and a perfect face, and all the women, all the fancy women in the neighborhood want to, do the act with the dude. Oh, so stupid. And everybody's just so attractive in this novel. Millie's attractive, Nina's attractive, Andrew's attractive. Everybody's pretty. Is this why just women read this thing? Like mainly women? When I realized in Goodreads, most reviews were by women. So I concluded either just women read more, which I think that's what actually happens, or that the book is targeted to women. I don't know. I still felt the book was stupid. It's so damn popular, and I don't know if it deserves it or not. I just think it's overhyped. The twist is not that great. It's predictable. The style of the book is kind of simplistic. No, simple. I have no problem with simple prose. You can write a simple prose and still have an attractive novel. My problem is simplistic and silly. And the author commits a horrible sin in literature that is she explains way too much, you know? She explains and over-explains. You don't need to treat your reader as an idiot, and she does that constantly, you know? I hated that. I have many examples. For example, I'm gonna give you a quick example. At the beginning of the book, Nina tells Millie, call me Nina, don't call me Mrs. Winchester. Because Millie's like, oh, Mrs. Winchester, you want a little tea? Don't call me Mrs. Winchester, call me Nina. We're like friends, we're pals, you know, BFFs. So Millie just calls her Nina. Hey Nina, you want this, you want that? Halfway through the book, Nina's surrounded by her friends, her female, rich, pretentious, blonde lady friends. And suddenly, Millie comes, the housemaid, and tells Nina, hey Nina, you want tea? And Nina is like, how dare you? You're from a lower class. You call me Mrs. Winchester. You're the freaking housemaid. How freaking dare you? Now we understand the situation is completely unfair because she specified earlier in the book that Millie's supposed to call her Nina, no Mrs. Winchester. We get it. Nina's crazy. We understood that part in the book. This is unfair. Millie is the victim here. We understood the author. And what does the author do? She starts to explain why this is unfair. Well, this is very unfair because 40 pages ago, Nina told me that I was supposed to call her Nina, and we get why this is unfair. You don't need to explain. We are not idiots. We went to primary school, you know? We can follow an easy narrative, which this book is entirely. There's absolutely no complicated themes, interactions, nothing, dynamics. There's three main characters. The protagonist, Millie, and Nina Winchester and Andrew Winchester. That's it. That's why you get to see the fantastic twist from far away that soon. It's not a complicated book. Many stupid stuff like that keep happening in the novel. There's two Deus Ex Machinas so huge in this novel that I was so freaking pissed. Coincidence that just happened because they happen. They end up killing Andrew Winchester. Millie ends up killing Andrew Winchester. Great, I applaud it, fantastic. But how are they gonna get out of this crime? This is a crime. This is homicide. I think, murder, I don't know. How are they gonna get out of this? No, Deus Ex Machina. The police chief or whatever he was, the commissioner, whatever, I don't remember. He just happened to be the father of Andrew Winchester, ex-fiancée, who he also tortured many years ago, and we've never seen her. Her name was Catherine. She was mentioned before, and the only important thing, the only reason this character appeared was mentioned in the book is for this Deus Ex Machina, which was just lazy and stupid. So the police don't send Nina to prison because just by happenstance, coincidence, this detective dude commissioner knows Andrew Winchester is a monster, and that's it. Really? That's the reason. That was the ending, that was the master plan? Terrible. A coincidence, a Deus Ex Machina. I felt insulted. I'm sorry, I have to give this book 2 stars. That was a horrendous ending. Not only for that, but for many other stuff that happened. But especially, that's very lazy. And this book, taking into account this book is so famous and celebrated and considered a masterpiece by many. Nope, doesn't fly with me. That was just so all the characters are free to keep going happily ever after. I mean, put some thought to it. And why did Nina and Millie didn't go to prison? Oh, a sorcerer did it. He was a sorcerer. But why did a sorcerer did it? Shut up. He was a sorcerer. That's pretty much the conclusion of the novel. So I'm sorry. That's my opinion, and it's just my opinion. I don't want to shit on the book. It's way too famous. Nobody cares what I have to say about this anyway. It's way too popular. Good for it. There's many more things to say about this book, but I think I'm gonna leave it short because I think I left my point clear. It was a fun read, don't get me wrong. I hated the first part of the book because I knew what the twist was, but I have fun with the second part. I don't think it's such a great book to deserve the amount of hype it has received and the popularity it enjoys at the moment. But you know, it's not my decision, whatever. 2 stars. I can give it 2 stars. Compared to the popularity it has. If this book was... If nobody had recommended it to me, if I didn't know anything about the book, if I didn't know there was a twist coming, most likely I would give it more stars. But it's the fact that they advertise so much the freaking twist that I cannot give it more. You know, I'm a fair and harsh judge, but it's the way it is. Well, that's it. Keep reading. Have fun. Bye-bye.